Fish emulsion. Have you heard of it? Have you seen it for sale? Have you scented its wonderful aroma?
Smells bad, but you gonna blast. Gonna feed all them things like you never had. Kinda sick, drop the fishes in your bucket, stirring it up with the stick.
Fish emulsion is a sea-based fertilizer. Like you would think, it's made from fish. They sell it at Lowe's and Home Depot and on Amazon and garden supply stores. It is a seafood-based plant food. Now, fish live in the ocean. Fish absorb all the wonderful minerals of the ocean, and then fish get caught and eaten by human beings. And there's always a little bit of scrap left over from that fish, so some enterprising people have decided to use the wastes from fish to make a fertilizer, which makes a lot of sense. As I've explained before, and as I talk about in my book, Compost Everything, The Good Guide to Extreme Composting, fish are a great fertilizer. As a matter of fact, all meat is a good fertilizer for plants if you can figure out how to get it in the ground and let the plants eat it. Fish is loaded, first of all, with nitrogen. Fish is high in protein, protein is high in nitrogen. You remember the Indians and the Pilgrims. Bury a fish at the bottom of the corn and the corn grows really well, provided the raccoons don't dig it up. If you've got fish, you have protein, which means you have nitrogen. But along with that, you have all those minerals of the ocean that the fish has absorbed. So today, instead of going out and buying this expensive fish emulsion, we are going to make some homemade fish fertilizer. And it's a good thing you can't smell through your screen. I have 3 ingredients today. I have molasses, I have crabs, and I have fish guts. My children, my amazing children, my homeschooled children, know how to gut fish. And so when a friend of ours came by and he brought us a bunch of fish, a couple of my kids said, "Hey, I'll gut them, Dad." So they gutted them and I said, "Save the guts in a bucket." So they saved the guts in a bucket, and then I forgot about it on the porch for about a day until I was in my office going, "Man alive!" So that's what you are seeing, is a bucket with fish guts in it. So now I'm gonna take those fish guts and I'm going to add them to water, and they are going to decompose anaerobically. And I also have these crabs. Now, this kind of crazy guy said, "If you hold this bag for me, you can have some of these. Just help me load them." And he was in the middle of the road with a 55-gallon drum full of crabs that he had trapped and caught. And so I ended up taking some of them home and we cooked them, and they're really not very good. Like, the only good part is the claw, and then the inside of them was horrible, like mushy black stuff, and they're not very good. I don't care if I ever eat them again, but for the purposes of a demonstration, I might as well feed them to the plants. There's no loss. I have absolutely no loss. We ate the parts of the crabs we wanted, and the rest of them are going into the garden, and we'll turn them into food that we actually like. So I have right here a trash can filled with water. This trash can has already had various compostable materials thrown into it. Now, you can just start with a bucket full of water, start with a trash can full of water, a barrel full of water. Make sure you have a lid for it, because this is going to stink. And you got some water, maybe fill it halfway full, not all the way full. And then you take your crabs and your fish guts and you dump them in. And then go back to the sea with you little crabs. Oh, that is great. I bet you never thought you were going to see something like that on the Facebook, eh? All right, so now we have some of our guts, which have actually partially liquefied. We're just gonna dump those guts in. Oh, yes. Okay, now you might not like this. Your wife might not like this. And your neighbors might not like this. But your plants are gonna love this. Isn't that great? You're basically making soup. You can have your kids do this. But there's another ingredient to the soup right now that we're gonna put in. This right here. This is molasses. Molasses has its own set of minerals in it, but it also is good for fermentation because it has sugar in it. So we are going to add some sugar here, and we are going to ferment this mess. And it's going to be so good. Stir this mess up. Now this is anaerobic decomposition as opposed to aerobic decomposition. This is the one that everybody says is so bad, but it's not. it's not. It works great for your plants. You can take all kinds of weeds and things and put them in a barrel and put water in it and let them ferment, and then water your plants with what's left, and it does a great job. Look up weed tea and put in like minus 420, minus marijuana, minus cannabis, and put in maybe the word garden, and you might find what you're looking for. But weed tea is basically when you take weeds, you make tea out of it. You can do the same thing with comfrey. I have done it with moringa leaves, done it with all kinds of things. Manure tea, compost tea, all that kind of stuff. You just let it rot in a barrel. All this stuff is going to rot down, and it is going to make a fantastic fertilizer. And now all we have to do is wait. This is going to ferment in here, and I would wait a month or two, or even maybe a little bit longer. It goes from a really rank, nasty smell to kind of an oceanside smell. A little bit more like a dock with a nice boat tied up. A little bit fishy, but not terrible. It goes to that from, oh my gosh, I'm going to die smell. As a matter of fact, the first time I did this, vultures showed up in my yard and hung out all over the fence, and they looked very confused. They're like, I know that there's a seafood place around here somewhere, but I have not been able to find it. And so anyhow, you're gonna let it rot down for a while, and this is gonna be pretty strong, so take it, thin it out with some water, maybe 5 parts water to 1 part fish fertilizer, and go ahead and water your plants with it, and they will go crazy. I first learned about the power of fish emulsion when a master gardener friend of mine said, you know, I had a hard time growing strawberries, but I found the magic with strawberries is fertilizing them with fish emulsion. So she would take it and thin out, she would buy fish emulsion, she would take it and thin it out and water her strawberries with it, and they would go crazy. They look beautiful. They're beautiful green leaves, glossy leaves, and nice fruit. So that's the power of it. This is a very, very, very good fertilizer. And if we're talking a survival situation, you're gonna be fishing probably, right? So take the fish guts, don't waste the fish guts. Take the parts that you're not gonna eat, take the leftovers from a fish dinner, take whatever you got, you know, you got some clams or whatever's left, throw it into a barrel, put some water on it, just simply let it ferment for a period of time, and then you're gonna use it for a fertilizer, which is easy to make at home. Yes, it smells bad to begin with, but it doesn't smell that bad when it's done. It's fine when it's done. I made a big 55-gallon drum of this stuff, and it lasted me a very long time. It's probably still sitting where I left it at my old house, actually. It's you just go in, I would just dip into it and pour it into the plants. I added a little more water to it to thin it out over time, just kept dipping into it and watering plants with it. And it's like magic. It's full of all those minerals. The minerals don't go away. You dump them in your garden. So this is a very simple, excellent fertilizer you can make at home. Save yourself a lot of money. Just make sure you seal it up well so your neighbors don't complain. Later on, if everything collapses, your neighbors are going to be glad that you know how to make this fertilizer, because you're going to be the one with the good food.
I went to see David the Good. We listened to Portishead and drank spiced rum.
Fish, 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 fish. Lots of my friends eat fish. Big fish, little fish, small fish, large fish. Fish, 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 fishes, fish, fish.